Welcome to another very special edition of the PrepZone on DMV Stream. I'm John Moore. Joined as always, Rob Giampapa. We're from Rebel Run Sports.
Absolutely.
And this week's special guest, WT Woodson girls basketball coach, Aseem Rastogi. How you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Good to see you.
Wonderful. Great to be here.
Let's jump into it. Kind of walk us through the season. We talked to you in the preseason, so curious to see your take on how everything went.
For sure. No, and first let me just say it's an honor to be here. I mean, there's not very many opportunities to come and do media, so this is phenomenal. I appreciate what you guys do for Northern Virginia high school sports. So keep doing what you do because it's great. Our season was, almost as we expected, and we made a lot of growth this season, coming off two seasons where right before I was hired, it was a little bit down, so we had to bring it back up, try to establish a culture. And that's what I feel like we started to do this year. I mean, we wanted to play fast and we wanted the Chaos brand to really stick. And I think in many of our games it did. And it came down to a couple shots here, a couple shots there not going in. So I feel really good about how our season went. A lot of our young kids got a lot of great experience, both at our freshman and JV levels as well. So we're building a program. That's what we're all about at Woodson. And I think we've started on the right path to doing that.
Well, you have a little bit of a different background in getting to this point. Your first year at Woodson, but tell us a little bit about your road to get there.
Sure, yeah. I actually went to Woodson as a student. I graduated in 2006. Everybody asked me, hey, how was it to play for Coach Craig? Never played at Woodson. Didn't make the team. I got cut as a freshman and a sophomore. Being 5'9", overweight Indian, nobody really wants you on their team. So, that's the blueprint, right? I mean, that's what it is now. So I knew I had to do something different to stay involved with the game. I'd been playing since I was 5 years old. I just didn't know how to work. So I became a student of the game and eventually worked my way to coaching just rec league. And then when I went off to college, I got involved with the Lady Monarchs down at Old Dominion, then the third winningest program in the history of college women's basketball. Got to learn from Wendy Larry and Nikita Lowry Dawkins, who's now the associate head coach at the University of Minnesota. Really how to be a coach and how to run a program as a manager with them. Also did a lot of sports marketing while I was down at Old Dominion getting my degree. Went to the University of Oklahoma to get my master's, where I got to learn from Sherry Cole as an intern in their basketball program. Volunteered with them for a semester, but then watched practice. She invited me to practice every day, and so I would go as much as I could. Coached high school out there, so started building the resume, started building my experience. A lot of trials and tribulations out in Oklahoma. And then I got my first job out of grad school at VCU as the director of player personnel for Marlene Stallings when she had just taken over at VCU, helped recruit the number 38 class in the country. Really cut my teeth in the organizational part of things, so hotels, buses, food, operational type stuff. Got promoted after the season, but decided to leave shortly thereafter to spend some time with my family who all live overseas, and then came back, moved to Maryland, was coaching high school up there, coaching elite girls AAU, got a teaching job in DC, coached middle school while I was coaching AAU in Maryland, and then landed at Woodson last year around about this time.
Excellent.
When we talked before, you talked about the girls bringing their own energy to the game. You feel like that was something that happened this year?
Absolutely, yeah. If you had watched any of our games, I mean, our culture was on display every single time we took the floor, every practice. You wouldn't know whether we won or lost our last game because kids bought in that enthusiasm is what makes this thing go. You can't walk into practice and not be excited to be there. If you're not excited to be there, just go on home. And we tell our kids that all the time. We'd rather you be excited to be here than you not be excited and you can just go home and try again tomorrow, and that's okay. So our kids really bought into that, and we had the bench mob. When Monmouth was all over social media doing the bow and arrow stuff and whatnot, our kids loved that.
Yeah.
And so I would show them videos of that. They would take it to the next game, and it just got all of our kids excited to play. And in many of our wins, I mean, when we played Mount Vernon and we beat them, that was on full display. We made 9 threes in that game. So our kids got a lot of bow and arrow practice right there. So definitely bringing energy and enthusiasm is what we require from our girls as a prerequisite to be in our program.
Well, at Woodson, there seems to be a tremendous amount of support from the community and from the student base. Talk a little bit about that. I mean, you guys have a terrific student section in every sport.
Yeah, no, our kids are phenomenal, and that's not changed even since I was there. I mean, they just really rally around all the athletes, and they rally around all the sports. Obviously, boys basketball gets the biggest turnout, and for good reason. I mean, 12 straight years in the district or in the regional tournament. That's no joke. So, there's the Woodson effect. When you go to the regionals, you see the whiteout and you see Cav Strong all over the place. And our students and our staff and our AD, I mean, everybody from the top to the bottom is fully supportive of what we do. And it's just a great environment to be in. That's why I love being at Woodson, and that's why I want to stay at Woodson. It's just a phenomenal place to be.
Excellent.
Adding on that, what kind of community outreach are you doing in the area?
Great. I'm glad you asked. This is my shameless plug for our camp. We run a really successful girls basketball camp. It's actually next week, so June 27th to July 1st. Folks can register at WTWCamps.com. And it's a wonderful way to get young girls excited about playing basketball. A lot of times we want kids to play as many sports as possible, but sometimes basketball falls by the wayside because perhaps it's too expensive or there's just not enough time to do it while I'm playing this, that, and the other. So we offer 1-week camps where kids can come in and really feel good about their development as a basketball player. They get to meet our kids because really that's why they're there. The connection with our kids, with our players is why little girls show up, and that they're their heroes. So then this year we've added for the first time an elite skills camp to give the kids who really love basketball or who want to take their game to the next level an opportunity to learn from the high school coaches and sort of run through what it's like to be a Woodson girls basketball player. So we've had tremendous turnout for both of those in terms of early registrations, and we're hoping we get some more so we can get our community going. And then throughout the year, we'll do different service projects and things like that to really, really solidify our place in our community, because that is one of our core values. We want to make sure the community knows we're there for them because they're always supportive of us.
Okay. Well, you've done some things off the basketball court and bringing in some people and some programs that are a little bit different. Talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I met up with Adam Bradley, who was with Ball Hogs Radio. Now he's with the Hardwood Hustle, and he founded a company called Lead 'Em Up. I met him at the PGC Glacier Clinic last fall, and we talked about bringing Lead 'Em Up into our program. And what Lead 'Em Up is, it's a 12-week program that's games-based that addresses different topics in leadership. So humility, communication, things as simple as body language, and brings it in with an improv games approach so that it's not just, hey, this is how your body language should be. No, it's like full games where our kids get to experience it. So he actually came and kicked us off last November with our entire program, and then we went through 12 weeks of it. Our JV assistant coach, Noelle Smith, was phenomenal in putting all the stuff together, and they send you all the materials you need to do it. You just have to execute. And on our end-of-year surveys, many of the kids wrote that their favorite part of being in our program was doing Lead 'Em Up on Saturdays, especially our JV and freshman kids who maybe that was their introduction to playing sports in high school. It's a really neat component of our program. And so Adam actually went as far. He was our graduation speaker last Saturday at Eagle Bank Arena. So it kind of came full circle that he was able to share that message with the entire student body as well.
That's excellent.
Yeah. Very cool. Talk about some of your individual players. You got outgoing senior class. What kind of bar did they set for the upcoming senior class?
Man, our in terms of on the court, they did a phenomenal job. Our 80% of our scoring, rebounding, assists, all of that is just graduated last Saturday. That being said, the real void that is going to need to be filled is in the leadership capacity. Mary Ellen Gill, and I've told her this many times, I'll tell anybody who asks, is the best leader of young ladies I've been around in a long time. She's a 4-year varsity player, and she gets it. She was the one who would help hold everybody accountable to doing their job because they knew that time in and, game in, game out, practice in, practice out, she was going to do her job. So it was ultimately one of those things where she had that buy-in from her teammates. So that's going to be a big void for us to fill. But, on the court, our 5 seniors did some amazing things for us. Jasmine Fasold, over the last, 12 games of the season, led the conference in scoring. So she was phenomenal. 4 of our seniors were named to an all-conference team, 3 honorable mentions and 1 second team. And then Mary Ellen was also all-defensive team. So, we lose a lot in them, but we're very excited about our young kids coming up, returning varsity players coming up. Our rising freshman class is phenomenal. So we're looking at really big things coming from all those kids, yeah.
And I told you I've seen you guys play, and I thought Morgan Gibson, she did just about everything on the court. But talk about some players that you had to go against. We talked a little bit before we started going about some players that you had to go against. Who do you have to gear up for? Who keeps you up at night as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad most of the people I'm about to mention have graduated. So that's helpful for me. Haley Blankenship was just phenomenal this year. That kid, as soon as she crossed half court, she was in range. I mean, she was the female Steph Curry in Conference 7. And then her two teammates also, Shelby Haynes and Maura Deanna. You know, West Springfield's always been tough, and those three kids are just, I mean, they were great. Taylor Nason is another one. I mean, the most active player I've ever seen play at the high school level. I was actually just watching some of our film with South County today, and I was just scratching my head. How did she get that rebound? She was all the way over there, you know.
Baby Barkley.
Yeah, I mean, it's just unbelievable, and she's going to do really well at Monmouth. I think she's built for that. You know, Katie Garish coming back as a senior, she's a force to be reckoned with in the paint, and so those are really kind of the kids that kept us up at night as a coaching staff. Like, hey, what are we going to do? Because we give up about 7 inches to all these kids. We got to find a way, you know, and that's what we tell our kids too. It's not about how big you are; it's about how big you want to play. And you know, there was times where some of our kids really played like they were 6'2", and it was a treat to watch. So, but there's some phenomenal competition in Conference 7.
Outside of the coaches you've worked for, who are some of your coaching influences at locally, high school level, or college level, or beyond?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I mentioned Wendy Larry. She's going to be a Hall of Famer if she's not already. I think she is. Nikki Dawkins over at Minnesota. Glenn Farello at PVI. I work his camp every summer. I've been working his camp since I graduated college. And he's just somebody that I know I can turn to and say, hey, how did you handle this similar situation? Or what can I do to do X, Y, Z? Or, you know, it's never really about X's and O's. It's more about handling people and managing egos and having those relationships, which is what coaching is. You know, and then really anybody I can sort of talk to and get my hands on. I mean, there's some coaches that are just walking around, you know, at conferences or whatever, and I'll just stop somebody and say, hey, let's chat or whatever. But really those three are the kind of the big ones in my life. And Sherry Cole and Chad Thrillkill out in Oklahoma. They're just phenomenal people. Yeah.
Well, you talked about the camp, but after the camp gets done, what's the rest of the off season like for you?
So we don't use the word off season in our program. I don't know if you've seen our hashtag, but it's improvement season. For us, off season is something that kids have used as an excuse. Improvement season, if you're not in it, you're not in it, right? You're not improving. So we do green days to the full capacity that we're allowed to. Open gym, lifting. I mean, we'll go through the third week of July, and then the third week of July, and then from then until the second week of September, we're completely off. That's family time. That's go get your mind right time. That's time for me to go take a deep breath and relax and do something else. And yeah, I mean, really just trying to instill a culture, again, of enthusiasm and hard work, because we're just not going to be able to roll the balls out in November and hope. You know, we've got to put in the work, so we're confident when November rolls around that we've set ourselves up the right way.
What are your expectations for next season?
Score the basketball a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, 85% of the shots we took in the latter half of the season, once our kids got comfortable with a new system, they were wide open in spots we want to take shots from. So really it comes down to a couple more of those going in. And so that's why everything we've done in the improvement season right now has been geared towards making shots in game spots at game speed. So I don't really have expectations as it pertains to a particular record or anything like that. I just want to improve every single day. We talk a lot about the process in our program, and some of the kids snicker, some of them laugh, but you can't get to where you want to be as a winner until you embrace that process. So every single day coming in and knowing I've got to bring the energy, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, and collectively if we all do that, we're going to be a lot better. You know, but I expect to compete. You know, if we're going to talk about expectations, I fully expect, you know, if we have 15 kids on varsity, if we have 12 kids on varsity, if we have 41 kids in our entire program, every single day our kids are going to compete in everything they do, both on and off the court.
Very cool. Well, Aseem, we wish you the best of luck next year. We hope you come back and see us in the winter.
Absolutely, yeah.
Gearing up. Aseem Rastogi for the Prep Zone on DMV Stream. I'm John Moore. This is Rob Giampapa. You can always see us on RebelRunSports.com. And we'll see you next season.